Now, I was somewhat aware of Swiped. I knew it was a biopic starring the wonderful Lily James, but I didn't know who the centre person of the biopic was. I mean, I could have guessed it was about one of the co-founders of Tinder, with the name of the film being Swiped. But I hadn't heard much of this. I knew it went to TIFF. I heard some not so great things coming out of TIFF, which kind of made me a little bit more interested in this film, because I had no clue what the film was about. Like I said, I only knew it had Lily James. Swiped is a story centered on Whitney Wolfe Herd, co-founder of Tinder and was the vice president of marketing before becoming the founder and CEO of Bumble. Now, I never thought I needed to know how they come up with Tinder and how they got the grounds running, and usually I wouldn't really want to know about all that stuff. But as I was learning the story, I realized that this story is one that needs to be told. It's not about Tinder, it's about Whitney. We learned that Whitney played such a immensely important role in the creation of Tinder. It even says in the film she feels like Tinder is her baby, it's like her baby, but she's subject to a vast amount of workplace harassment, misogyny, sexism by some of her co-workers at Tinder, and she isn't given the respect that she deserves or the credit she deserves, and she has to deal with being a woman in a very male-dominated field in tech. I think the film does do an important job in providing information and ultimately awareness of these issues, how hard it can be for a woman in these environments, wanting to be taken seriously, respected, and treated right. But I do find myself wanting to now watch a documentary on this story because I wanted the film to go a lot deeper into these issues than they did. A lot of issues that arise from Whitney's time at Tinder aren't addressed in as much detail as I'd like. It jumps from one moment to another, where you haven't really got much time to process what has actually happened here. I think the only time I was actually properly able to was when Whitney brought up growing safety concerns from women users on the app to the rest of this leadership team in a meeting. This leadership team is all male, and they just simply do not care about all these issues because the app is doing well. They don't want to jeopardize the performance of the app for safety. We also don't really see Whitney outside of this work environment. We don't really see much of what she's like as a person, what she does in her spare time. So I struggled to get that connection with Whitney, which would have made these spiraling moments where everything comes crashing down hit harder than it did. I am aware that they could only use publicly available information because Whitney Wolfe Herd, who wasn't involved in the making of this film, is under an NDA, so she isn't allowed to talk anything about her time at Tinder. So that, of course, does make it a lot trickier. I'm obviously not aware of the entire story. I don't entirely know what is publicly available information, but because of this, it feels like the filmmakers are quite limited in what they're able to use. So if you do know the story, the film isn't going to be offering anything new, I imagine. This wasn't really a problem for me because I didn't know the story. This is a new story for me, so I was getting quite a bit of information, but if you know it, you're not getting anything new. There is a rise fall rise structure where the first rise is Whitney becoming co-founder and VP of marketing at Tinder, being in really successful meetings, to the fall where she begins to realize she is subject to a lot of misogyny, she's in a toxic environment, and after breaking up with her boyfriend and co-worker Justin Mateen, played by Jackson White, she then experiences a vast amount of workplace harassment where she becomes iced out of meetings, she's not respected around the office, mainly out of jealousy. There's constant gossip and being threatened at work, leading to her leaving Tinder, and then she's got to deal with a bunch of legal issues and online hate that is directed at her. The next rise is her ultimate realization and acknowledgement that she may have tried to protect herself and her positions a bit too much at Tinder. It's coming from a place where she wants to get to the position where she can make all these changes that she wants to make herself, but she's sort of like not really bringing it up as much as she would like so that she can get there, if that makes sense. But she does acknowledge it. And then the ultimate formation of Bumble with the help of other female co-workers who left Tinder to help Whitney, and Andre Andreev, played by Dan Stevens, the creator of Badoo. There is a lot of focus on this first rise and the fall, but the second rise is barely given any time to actually show off Whitney's success. With Bumble, it's like they went straight from the whiteboard to the company in the space of about 10 minutes. And I would have loved to have seen a lot more on how the company of Bumble became Bumble. Because after seeing what Whitney has been through, it would have been really nice to see a lot more of her great ideas and the success there. Celebrate her success. Let's celebrate Whitney. It doesn't feel like that there's loads of that going on here. Half of the short amount of time that we get at Bumble is dealing with the allegations against Andreev and how Whitney deals with it. I actually wanted the film to be longer, to give more time at Bumble. All that being said though, I did find some of the film enticing. There were for sure moments where I was engaged with it. I was rooting for Whitney. I wanted only the best for her and hoping she can get some of this success which she deserves. But I think for the most part this was down to Lily James rather than anything. Maybe I'm biased as a fellow Brit, but I don't think her accent was that bad or annoying like what quite a few people are saying. She does fall out of the accent at times. It's very, very brief though. Sometimes you won't even notice it. But I think her performance is good here. She does well with the emotional feats. She's charming. I think she does a great job, especially with what she's given, because she's really not given that much to work with. Overall, Swiped is a story in which needed to be told. You know, it can be engaging at moments, addressing important issues, but it needed to go deeper and allow time with the lead in order to process everything happening effectively. And Lily James puts in a good performance despite not being given much to work with. So I'm going to give Swiped 2.5 stars, closer to 3 than 2. If you enjoyed the review, please make sure to like and subscribe and engage on all the socials. It would be much appreciated. And if you have seen Swiped, what did you think? I'll see you in the next.